Hey everyone, this is James. It's March 11th, 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is my 4-hour chart of Bitcoin. This is BTC USDT. So every single bar represents 4 hours. And if you're new, and if you're a prior viewer as well, thank you for viewing this. I thank you for your time. And first of all, I have to disclaim that this is not investment advice. Second of all, I like to go over the overall trend so that way everyone knows where we came from. And basically, we've been in this downtrend since December 15th of last year, and we've now broken out of that. We've used it right here, as you can see where I'm marking. Hopefully on your screen, I'll make a gigantic ball, and we've bounced off of that so far. The number counts that you see here to the right hand side of the screen, if you can see them, they are not Elliott waves. It's just the only way I could describe the similarities between the downward movement from the 6,000 low to what we are actually traversing now. But they're not Elliott waves, so please do not take that as me misusing them at all. It's the only thing that TradingView would allow me to use in order to depict what I was trying to summarize in my prior video. So we've been in the downtrend. We've used it as a balance. I like to say, the left-hand side, there's a lot of volatility over here. You can see as my marker's going crazy, a lot of volatility, a lot of wild swings. And then this side, the right side, is more muted. So it's kind of like a crab. We have one big arm, one tiny arm. Anyways, where we're at now, let's go over and analyze the prior downward movement to the 6,000 bottom, because I think there's a lot of similarities here. All right, if you look at this, right, you can see this nice like shimmy down, the drop, the wedge, the drop, the little rally. I call this the Guppy rally, and then boom, they get hit. Everyone gets hammered hard. That's holding those positions, thinking they caught the bottom here. Okay, this is the bloodbath phase right here. Now, let's go over to where we currently are. Oh, the other thing I said, the upward slope. This blue line, you can see that upward slope, kind of like we made a little hop and then bounced. We broke this top right here, so we had a false breakout. Right now, let's go over to where we're at. All right, so far, everything is holding out like I thought it would. It's a little bit, it could be a little bit different. There's a possible uptrend reversal here, okay? So I try to stay as objective as I can in my videos for everybody, so I'm going to go over both sides. But I think that we do have more downside that can be negated, though, if we continue breaking up. And I'll explain that in just a little bit. But let's go over the similarities. We have the shimmy down, the drop, the wedge, the nice hop, the false breakout forming right here, and then potentially more downside. This 5 area is just an estimation. Right now it's in the 7,000 range. There's no guarantee we have to hit the 7,000 range at all. Okay, we could go lower, we could stay higher. There's a few different areas. If you watch my prior videos that I've been talking about, right here is going to be one of them where this orange line is. We're roughly maybe about 8,300-ish area on the Binance exchange. And then also right here we have about 7,700. Those are two potential areas. Some big buyers, a single big buyer or multiple big buyers could be looking for price in that range. They could have buy orders out and they could move the market rather quickly. Now you can see where we hit is right here on this orange line, and we've bounced. So Bitcoin cannot be counted out right now, even though it looks very similar, okay? And I am more inclined to think that we are going to have more downside than upside at this point due to those similarities, and history typically repeats itself. And also, I believe this was the Guppy run, okay? I thought this was the end of the Guppy run, but we may have had just another little rally out. The break of the high to catch the breakout buyers. That's the number one thing to avoid, is the breakout buy. People get destroyed on the breakout buy typically. All right, so typically what happens on breakouts is like we'll have a breakout, a return, and then we'll either get a bounce from that point or we'll break back down under. Now, where Bitcoin currently is, let me thin out this line so it's much easier to see, and I will change the color of it as well, and we'll just keep it hidden in the shadows. So we've had a very similar structure. This blue line, as you remember from the 6,000 bottom, we had the little hop right there. The angle is a little, it's not as vertical as the prior slide to 6,000, but it's something very similar in the price structure form. So, and I can kind of zoom out, and I'll zoom in real quick to show everybody. Let me just zoom in, and then as we open it up, now you can see You have the same little hop, the breakout of the top, and then the rollover. So right now, what Bitcoin is doing actually is it is forming a consolidation very similar. Hang on real quick. Let me hop on over there. I think on the 30-minute chart, we're forming a nice horizontal consolidation. And I do think here we are more than likely going to consolidate for at least a few bars and then possibly roll over to follow the path that I am projecting. Okay, we also, on top of that, have a rejection right here that would have been a prior resistance level. Okay, so I use my lines. There's a lot of lines here, so I'm going to explain them all too. So I'm sure your eyes are going crazy, and I don't mean for that to happen, but my lines are based on price action and frequency alone. I do not use any lagging indicators. I do not use Elliott waves. I do not use anything other than the lines that I set based on the frequency that price is reacting to, and that is it. I just use lines. Some people call them median lines, pitchforks, action-reaction lines. I don't care what you call it. That's what I use. So that's what you're seeing here. So what we have is we have a downtrend set, which is the dark red downtrend set, which we have been adhering to, and we've oscillated around. We broke out, and you can see this long-range bar. If you've been watching my videos, anytime there is vertical price movement, it is typically erased. It does not have to immediately be erased, but it's typically erased. And I've shown that in the prior history where you see these wild, crazy vertical bars, like when we hit the 6,000 bottom, you can see the nice reversal of that right there. Ooh, hang on real quick, I double clicked by accident. There we go. You can see how price even got vertical here. This is a more elongated move, and the retracement, again, the downward slope right here, and the retracement of that, more elongated though this time. So I was talking for more of a, and in my prior videos, I was talking for more of a guppy run that would kind of bring it up to here to possibly do the same thing but roll over. However, price action has been very weak until today. Now the weekend is a very shallow market, and I've said that in my videos multiple times as well too. The market is very easy to push around, especially in the early mornings and the late night. So really late at night, you know, for Eastern Standard Time purposes. But what we see here is this was an early morning breakout Eastern Standard Time, right? The market is very shallow and easy to push around. And this is just, to me, a continuation of the Guppy run before we have more downside. Now, what is going to change my mind if that happens is that price would have to continue breaking upward this way and get above this area right here, which is roughly about 10,500, 10,600, depending on how fast we move into time and space. Everything to the right is time and space. If we break above that range, that totally negates this red line set. That is the reasoning behind the green line set that you see. This is the upward slope. If you've been watching my videos, we've moved from like vertical slopes almost, and we've slowly progressed to a more horizontal slope, which is not a bad thing. It means that price is going to be less volatile, which we can obviously see when we look at the bigger picture of everything. And it means that price may just start a nice subtle uptrend. So what I was hoping for is that we would have one more downside move, okay, higher than the 6,000 bottom. I've been saying that in almost all my videos that I think we will put in a higher low. There's a few things that could obviously change that if you've seen my prior video, which I can go over in just a little bit. But once we put in that higher low, I think that we will create a nice subtle uptrend, something like you would see similar to the fiat and stock market, and that would allow Bitcoin and the other cryptos, whichever ones do survive, to slowly move upward and smooth out this wild and crazy volatility, because right now it's absolutely insane when you can literally wake up in the morning and all of a sudden Bitcoin's up 900 to 1,000 points. Okay, it's a 10% move roughly is what we had today, but you know, it's just crazy that overnight the action could just change like that, like on a change, just I mean immediately. It was not even it was like what is it, like a 4-hour bar. So I mean, just just today, it just dramatically changed course from where it was at. But anyways, if we do put in the higher low, we'll create the nice uptrend structure and then build price up from there. So right now I'm looking for more downside, even though we've had some positive momentum to the upside, but we can see that the we're on a very long range bar. So there's two things that have to occur. We have to either consolidate sideways to recapture the energy we just expended, okay? Or we need to continue breaking upward and knock out the 10,500 zone and then use this as a springboard and then continue the trend upward, potentially breaking the 11,786 high, I believe is the exact number on the Binance exchange, and then working our way into the 12, 13, and etc. So that is the positive side. The downside numbers now, if we come down, we are going to have to take out roughly 8,600, depending on how fast we move. It might be about 8,700, depending on where we are in time. But as we break that, then that would confirm that we are either going to stop here at the 8,300 zone. If this buyer is gone, we are then going to move down to about the 7,700 range. If that buyer or buyers are gone, we will continue downward to hit the bottom line right here, which could be in the high 6,000 range. It's obviously going to depend on the velocity that we travel through time and space that will ultimately dictate the final number. If you've watched my videos, you know I do not get hung up on numbers, so I do not like to spew them out because they can change very quickly depending on price movement, especially when you can have $1,000 swings relatively quickly in this market. Okay, so do not get hung up on the numbers. I focus on my lines and my lines only, and that's it. So anyways, that's pretty much it for tonight. There's not much else to report on. The video is 12 minutes. I'm trying to talk as quick as I possibly can to get through all this information. There's a lot of information to cover. There's a lot going on right here. There's a potential for a breakout, but due to this vertical price movement, I do not think that the potential is very high right now unless we start to base out. However, if we do base out, guess what that reminds me of? This is exactly what it is. Now, I could be absolutely wrong here, but when you look at it, the similarities are there. They're there. They're staring me right in the face, and it's exactly, they almost look very similar. So that's the only reason why I'm putting up that red flag about this. Let me move over real quick. But that's it. They're a little bit different. Okay. It does not necessarily mean it has to happen, but if it does happen, the downward move from here is going to be just as brutal as the slide to 6,000, although I do believe we put in a higher low is what I meant to say. So I thank you for your time tonight, or this evening, depending on where you are in the world. If you do enjoy the video, please give me a thumbs up, like it, share it, comment, let me know what you think. If you disagree, comment as well too, but make it constructive. Don't just troll, like that's crazy. I'll just remove the comment at that point because it's not helpful to anybody. But that's the overall, my overall view and predictions of this market. I try to give both sides. I try to remain as objective as possible so everybody can get what they want out of these video analysis. I'm not here to give you investment advice, but what I can tell you is that if we do base out and we start to move back downward, it's going to be brutal, just like the slide to 6,000, especially if these two buyers are not in there or multiple buyers at those zones. Okay, so everybody, I just thank you again for your support. Thank you again for your time. If you have any comments or questions, just leave them down below. I will try to get back to you as soon as I possibly can. My next video update is tomorrow morning, roughly about 6:30 a.m. to 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I think tonight's overall market action will ultimately dictate the next move in Bitcoin, because we're at a zone to where we can either base to break out or base to break low. So hopefully tomorrow unveils the true direction, and then everyone can make their plans accordingly.